this particular quote, one of yours, in the back of your book, Zero Degree. There's not much difference between my life and my writing. When it comes to particularly your short stories, Nano for example, and you have you refer to Christopher Unborn, and how do you weave that intertextuality? How does it connect with your life?
Christopher Unborn. As we discussed earlier, so right now I have no answer for this. The
Come back again in a day.
Yeah, maybe after some time. Life, the connectivity between my life and writing, all my works are autofictional. So I take the things from my life, which is extraordinary, which is not normal. So I make it as a fiction. So everything is there in life. So whatever I feel, whatever I experience, that becomes the raw material for my. If you ask this to all the writers would say like this, but walking on corpses, walking on the corpses. First corpse is mine. The second is my wife and my children, my parents. You have to sacrifice your entire life for this kind of transgressive fiction. You get more slanderings, more beatings from the society and all these things. But about Christopher Unborn, we will come to that point later.
And when it comes to transgressive writings, I think you also referred to it. Most of there are accusations, right? That it's pornographic, that it's graphic. But to tell you my perspective, now I read Zero Degree, and one of the things that I felt was, no matter, yes, there's a lot of violent imagery, but I felt, and of course there's a lot of perspective, a lot of narrators, but I felt like there was one soul in the book, and I told my father also, it felt like there's this benevolent, almost benevolent soul looking down on humanity, weaving human history.
Benevolent, yes. I think this Marginal Man also, which is more transgressive than Zero Degree, it has its that compassion more, compassionate towards animals and other beings around us, but not so much compassionate towards humanity, because when they make war, they have made religion in the name of God. So in that sense, I don't like humans, my fellow humans. So I am not humanistic. I don't like humans because they are not up to the mark. They are not lovable. Very few. There are very few. There are exceptions. Exception. The people who are artists and creators, writers, painters. These people are different. We are, we form a group of another species outside us in our community itself. So there are some other novels, for example, Kamaruba Kadaigal, they are very transgressive in nature, very, very much. They should be translated at a later stage. So coming back to what are we discussing about the transgression and zero degree, the compassion. And you won't find this benevolence or compassion in Kamarupa Kadaigal. But it is my basic essence. வாடிய பயிரை கண்டபோதெல்லாம் வாடினேன் by தாய்மானவர். If you see a leaf, a plant in without water, in a sad state, my heart trembles. I cry. This is the meaning of வாடிய பயிரை கண்டபோதெல்லாம் வாடினேன். I suffer when the plants suffer.
You feel the pain.
Yeah. So in the same way, I always have this feeling of others suffering. If I come to KK's house, I will always be at pain about their hunger. What the cats will eat today. We are out of the home. So this kind of suffering for other beings. So when there is rain, I would feel like a madman. I would cry inside where the dogs and cats would go when there is rain, when there is storm, continuous non-stop rain. I would feel very sad.
And that is the soul that we find in 0 degree.
Yes, true. But transgressive fiction is not like that. But I know it's in my case it's a mixture of, even if you take Naked Lunch of William Burroughs, people, journalists and his students asked him once, you are for drugs, you are taking drugs daily and you have written drug experience, how you connect with the youngsters becoming drug addicts. He said, if I am fit, they would send me to the Vietnam War. And I tried to make my body unfit for a war. That is why I have taken drugs, and every drug I took is my protest against every bomb the Americans put it into the Vietnam people. Every drug is a protest against every bomb they have dropped in Vietnam War. So this kind of protest. So it's all protest. If people call it transgressive, I don't mind. I don't know the meaning of transgression. Transgression is transgressing something, transgressing the taboos. Everybody is transgressing. Everybody is, every writer is doing the job. But in actual sense of transgression, you have to sacrifice yourself, everything.
Your experiences,
family,
your life.
Our children, everything. You have to live the you cannot imagine. This kind of writing doesn't come,
without sacrifice.
Without the real experience, the real. You cannot imagine transgressive. That is why we have very less transgressive writers in the world. We had William Burroughs, Kathy Acker, and Charles Bukowski. Very few. Charles Bukowski was residing, living in streets, so no home. But at a later stage, he became a celebrity in American society. So that's it.
You actually mentioned that you would describe Mahabharata as transgressive also.
Yeah. It's full of transgressive stories. A guy wanted to have sex with his brother's wife. She was already pregnant. On those days, copulating with others is not a taboo for a woman. So she said, "Don't come to me now, I am pregnant. So I am not fit. We will have it after this. But he was in a mood to have sex with her immediately. So he did it. But the child, unborn child inside the womb, he kicked him
Oh.
and his penis got damaged. And he gives a curse, he cursed her. So these things, killing a child in womb, there are so many killings like that. We see this kind of cruelty in the religious riots. When there was riots in Godhra in India, Gujarat riots it's called, people would cut the stomach and they will stab the stomach, pregnant woman's stomach, and take out the child from the womb. They will burn it. These kinds of cruelty is there in Mahabharata. But you can deny it. I will deny it because of one reason. The language is not transgressive in Mahabharata. It is in a Kavya style. Okay.
There's
This is
an
one
aesthetic.
aesthetic style. One thing. The second thing is Mahabharata or any other itihasam, epic, they have an absolute truth. Though the narration, the story is transgressive in Mahabharata, the essence is absolute. That is, Krishna is the God. You have to surrender. He is the father figure, the God figure. So he is the absolute truth. There is no multiplicity or the postmodern openness in the text. It's
No
a closed
open-ending.
text. Krishna is the sole savior. This goes anti-transgressive, anti-postmodern. That's why I reject all kinds of grand narrative texts. I'm not even able to read Kambaramana or Ramayana. I read Mahabharata again and again because of its transgressive narrative, but not the Kavya sensibility. I reject it completely. I reject Ramayana also because the grand narratives don't give us anything. Now, even in India, it is being serialized as TV serials as a religious text. Absolute
In
truth,
popular
absolute
culture.
Krishna. So something like that. So we have to create postmodern, transgressive, open-ended texts. That's our response.
That's your burden, your torch to carry.
Yes.
Speaking of postmodernism, moving on to my next question, how do you see your contemporary Indian postmodernist writers such as Salman Rushdie or Arundhati Roy, or if you go to a more broader world stage, people like Paulo Coelho or Haruki Murakami?
These names, Paulo Coelho or Haruki Murakami, are very, very popular. But I don't find any, the literary aspects. They are, in my reading sensibility, they are mediocre. Like Haruki Murakami and this Paulo Coelho. Though I read them for entertainment purpose, they are entertainers only, mediocre writers. I would rate Salman Rushdie as a big writer. Right, but there is no transgressiveness in his Salman Rushdie's writing, though he criticized or objectionable things for the religious community. In Indian English writing, there is not much to talk positively. There are a few writers like Sharmista Mohanty, Karun Tejpal, and Amit Chaudhary, Manu Pillai. These names are there. they, they produce very good literature, but regional writing is more powerful than the Indian English writing, especially Bengali and Malayalam. There was a writer in Bengal, Subinil Mishra, who wrote like me, who wrote like KK, Samankumara. That is the only person, in my reading of Indian literature, Subinil Mishra. Otherwise, so difficult. And one more writer in Japan is Ryu Murakami. Ryu Murakami has written a dozen novels. All the novels are very transgressive in nature. He makes films of his novels. He is not that much famous in Japan, though he is popular. But Haruki is a rock star. But Ryu Murakami is the worthy, unfilmed director in Japan. You can say writer's writer, like K.K. Samankumar. But in my language, people don't call me as writer's writer because my language is very communicative to them. It's not so tough. It's very simple in the first place, but you have to travel inside. It looks very ordinary, but it has lot of philosophical layers. So a common reader
that you can journey through.
So a common reader also reads and gets the first meaning, and it has very inner meanings if you go on travel.
Moving on to my next question, you are sometimes referred to as the Indian James Joyce.
Okay.
Can I know what your opinion of Joyce himself is, and how he has and his writings have influenced your work in return?
Before writing a novel, I go through Ulysses for the language.
For your every novel?
For the language. Then only I get, though he writes in some other language, which I don't know much, I get somehow I cannot express it in words. I get afresh by reading Joyce again and again and again.
You get inspiration from
it is not inspiration. It is like energy or getting oxygen. When we are on the top in the mountain, you get oxygen, no? So this kind of linguistic oxygen. What can I say? So kind of rebirth, you say.
You are energized and reborn.
Reborn, yes, every time. It's like, bathing in a huge waterfalls. You refresh yourself with this language, but not in a physical sense. The language, the game, the inner game. So it gives you a freshness,
the soul.
A new energy to run in a 100 meters race. It's like that. So this kind of energy through his language. And I read Shakespeare also for my content. You should be strong in the physical language and in the content. If you concentrate on content, I go to Shakespeare. So these are the two masters. and sometimes the language and the conception, everything a book contains. For this, I go to Borges, Luis Borges, the South Indian, the Mexican
Right.
writer. So these are. When I watched Inception, the film, Christopher Nolan, I immediately guessed that Christopher Nolan must be a reader of Borges, and he, in one of his interviews, he said, "I am an ardent reader of Borges." So I could connect
You could
with
see
the
the
director who
connection.
lives somewhere, with the film, a Borgesian reading.
Do you remember the first time you read Joyce? The first time you read Ulysses?
Very lately,
Mhm.
at a very later stage. But after that, I
You kept
go
on
to
returning.
yeah. And one more thing, some 15 years or so, a woman writer, a poet, from Central American country, um, he wrote it in a Caribbean. She's from Caribbean islands.
Mhm.
She wrote it in a Caribbean magazine, literary magazine, that Charu was writing resembled Joyce.
Mhm.
Then only I went to Joyce.
Oh,
Then only what my comrade.
there's a backstory there.
Yeah. Then only, I know everyone knows Joyce's name, but when she compared me to Joyce, I went to.
When it comes to your writing process, how does it look like? Is there something that we call the surrealist automatic writing there?
Okay. My first reaction is no.
Mhm.
But if we explore it, deeper, I would say yes. How? For my every novel, I have a blueprint. I have a plan.
Before you start.
Yes. And even while writing, there is a strong, a complete plan.
Mhm.
So it cannot be called as surrealistic or automatic writing.
Mhm.
So because it has a plan, but while creating the novel, I get lot of dreams. I don't know where they have come from. Even to last night, I had a dream with sentences and after sentences. It was going on. I had a very perfect text. Even now I remember the story and all. So some unknown factor takes that position, and he or she starts writing. In that way, in that place, you can say this is automatic writing. It goes beyond it breaks the plan, and it goes, and it
It
creates
takes a life of its own.
yeah. So it creates a lot of chaos, and I intrude,
Mhm.
and I give it to the text to my friend. He intrudes, he negates, he poses a lot of questions, and I answer in the text itself, and he becomes a character in the novel. So it goes on against the plan, and it is also, you can call it as a plan.
Yes.
And plan, the plan against plan. So it goes
It's
like
part
that.
of the plan.
Plan, yeah. So the chaos and a form, the perfect form. So that's my answer to your question of automatic writing. And if we speak about Inception or Borges, there comes the concept of time. So whether I write in the time known to the humanity, or I write in dream. I write the dream in a dreamless level, but when I write the dream, it becomes a dream. And if you make a text out of the dream, though the text dreams itself, it travels into another dream. So it goes on like a mirror. If you
A
put
domino
a lot
effect
of
almost.
yeah, if you put 100 mirrors, or a glass piece breaks, you get a lot of images. So in that way, it goes mirror after mirror, mirror after mirror, text after text, text after text, and it doesn't end anywhere. So the formal critics and readers accuse me, even in my for Aurangzeb, the latest novel in English, they say that there is no storyline, though I narrate the story of Aurangzeb. A reviewer said there is no storyline, nothing. No, the critic feels very chaotic. But she said, finally, I will go on reading the novel again and again and again. So this is the Borgesian effect on me.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining us today.